never mind. Good morning again to everybody. It should be Tuesday if I kept track of it correctly, which I think I did. The fiance's still hanging out, listening to me talk, all smiley and cute. So I believe we're finishing chapter 31. Yes, it's Laban pursues Jacob after Jacob flees from him. So we went back and we actually looked over this right after the last recording. I completely skipped over the part, like it didn't register with me that Jacob means he deceives. So I think that kind of explains why, at least in 3 instances now, that he's done something deceitful to get something. It was the birthright, the blessing, and then the flock. Um, so that kind of makes sense that he's living up to his name. And that also, it's the Hebrew idiom for grasp the heel, is why it means he deceives. So that's why when he was born, he was grasping Esau's heel, so it all kind of connects. The other thing that I was a little curious about is, like, why was God still kind of on Jacob's side with things? And the only thing that I can see is that he, like, when he took Esau's blessing, uh, Isaac did bless him. So I mean, he may have just, like, would that be the only thing needed to have, like, God favor him in this way? But I don't know. So let me know what you think about that before we do the reading. I think you can let me think, or let me know what you think about the reading after the reading. I shouldn't do these at 2 in the morning anymore. Alright, starting on verse 22. On the third day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled. Taking his relatives with him, he pursued Jacob for 7 days and caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. Then God came to Laban the Aramean. I keep wanting to say Armenian. I don't know why. Aramean in a dream at night and said to him, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead when Laban overtook him, and Laban and his relatives camped there too. Then Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? You've deceived me, and you've carried off my daughters like captives in war. Why did you run off secretly and deceive me? Why didn't you tell me, so I could send you away with joy and singing to the music of timbrels and harps? You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You have done a foolish thing. I have the power to harm you, but last night the God of your father said to me, 'Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad.' Now you have gone off because you long to return to your father's household. But why did you steal my goods?" Gods. Oh, there it is again. Jacob answered Laban, "I was afraid because I thought you would take your daughters away from me by force. But if you find anyone who has your gods, that person shall not live. In the presence of our relatives, see for yourself whether there is anything of yours here with me, and if so, take it." Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the gods. So Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the tent of the 2 female servants, but he found nothing. After he came out of Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household gods, and put them inside her camel's saddle, and was sitting on them. Laban searched through everything in the tent, but found nothing. Rachel said to her father, "Don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence. I'm having my period." Man, they used that excuse back then too? I had to. So he searched but could not find the household gods. Jacob was angry and took Laban to task. "What is my crime?" he asked Laban. "How have I wronged you that you hunt me down? Now that you have searched through all my goods, what have you found that belongs to your household? Put it here in front of your relatives and mine, and let them judge between the two of us. I have been with you for 20 years now. Your sheep and goats have not miscarried, nor have I eaten rams from your flocks. I did not bring you animals torn by wild beasts. I bore the loss myself. And you demanded payment for me for whatever was stolen by day or night. This was my situation. The heat consumed me in the daytime, and the cold at night, and sleep fled from my eyes. It was like this for the 20 years I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, you would surely have sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen my hardship and the toil of my hands, and last night he rebuked you. Laban answered Jacob, "The women are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine. Yet what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us." So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. He said to his relatives, "Gather some stones." So they took stones and piled them in a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jagar Sahadutha, and Jacob called it Galeed. Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me today." That is why it was called Galeed. It was also called Mizpah, because he said, "May the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are away from each other. If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take any wives besides my daughters, even though no one is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me." Laban also said to Jacob, "Here is this heap, and here is this pillar I have set up between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness, that I will not go past this heap to your side to harm you, and that you will not go past this heap and pillar to my side to harm me. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us." So Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. He offered a sacrifice there in the hill country, and invited his relatives to a meal. After they had eaten, they spent the night there. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he left and returned home. So I'm forgetting when Laban changed his wages, but that's probably because I do these recordings so late that I'm missing parts. Can I have some of that?
Yeah.
Thank you. My throat got pretty dry. Oh. Another bonus of having a fiance, you get to share stuff. But anyway, pretty much Laban catches up to Jacob, says, "Why did you sneak away from me?" Jacob said that he was scared that he would keep his daughters with him by force. And, talks about how the situation was for him, about working for him for 20 years. So he said, "Okay, so these are my, children and grandchildren. So let's make a covenant." So God bore witness that he would stay faithful to his wives. He wouldn't take any other wives. And pretty much that they will stay on their respective sides of this pillar and heap, so that they won't harm each other. And then the next morning, he said goodbye to his children and his grandchildren, and then he left and returned home. Another note, I don't know if I made this little interesting fact yet or not, but Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. So, I'm assuming he's referring to God as the fear, because fear is capitalized. So, I don't know. I've never, out of all the names I've heard, given to God, I've never heard of the fear. I know you're supposed to, fear the Lord, but I've never heard it used as, a name for him. Have you? Mm-mm. She said, So, she's gonna hurt me. So I don't know, that's pretty interesting to me, is that he's actually calling him the fear of his father, and that's who he took the covenant, or the name that he promised the covenant in, was the fear of his father Isaac. So very interesting stuff. Another decently long one. Anything you wanted to add about interesting questions? Anything you're not sure of? Something that you like about this story? Something more than there we go. Now she got it twice. Alright, well, she's gonna be busy tomorrow, so I'll probably be back by my, boring self. Let me know what you guys think. If I missed something about the 10 wages, or not the 10 wages, changing his wages 10 times, let me know where I can go back and read through it again. I might go back and try to find it myself if I don't fall asleep right after I hit the stop recording button. Alright, I think that's it for me. You gonna say bye?
Bye.
She said bye. We're good to go. All right. We'll see you guys again tomorrow morning.